Hi, welcome to Car Juice. Here's the squeeze on the 2024 BMW i4 eDrive 35. We're also going to be talking about some of the other models that you can check out, and I'm going to link to a video where you can watch me build, as a BMW client advisor, this exact spec and some of the other models as well. So this is BMW's lowest end and most affordable option with our all-electric drivetrain platforms. This car comes only in rear-wheel drive, but being that it's an electric vehicle, the rear-wheel drive aspect really doesn't mess up the way that it handles in inclement weather like snow or rain or anything like that, because conversely, compared to a traditional gasoline car, these actually check traction control, about 100 times a second versus 8 to 10 times a second. Very, very precise, and this is actually a lot of fun if you put it into MDM mode. You can actually let the back end kind of swing around. On the side of the car here, you have 19-inch wheels. These are what are going to get you the longest range, which is about 250 miles on the i4 eDrive 35, and that can change based on what wheel design you decide to get. You can also get 18s, which make the car look like a little bit like it's kind of scared, which is funny. You also, on the front of the car, have these corner adapting LED headlights, so they're very bright at night, and you're not going to have to worry about them you're not going to have to worry about not being able to see where you're going. You also have these really beautiful halos that run on the front of the car. And then as far as horsepower goes, this car features 305 horsepower and 0 to 60 time, I think, of about 5.8 seconds, which is very comparable to some of our other cars. Let me take you around to the back of the car here. I do want to point out that you can get a parking assistance professional package, which adds 4 cameras to the outside of the vehicle, enabling this car to park itself and back up at up to about 300 or so feet. In the back seat, or in the trunk area of this vehicle, you can press this one button and you have a power open tailgate, and there also is a level 1 and level 2 flexible fast charger that comes with this car, which has 2 different adapters. Both this will charge the car in about 12 hours overnight, versus this is more so just going to charge at 1 kilowatt an hour and not really be enough to fully charge the car, but in an emergency situation you can get enough power to move it out of the way on the driveway, or just take it with you if there's not a spot where you can access a 220 volt charger to charge and get a little bit of range. Speaking of charging, this car does come with up to a 2-year subscription to Electrify America, which will actually let you do a couple of 30-minute charging sessions for free throughout the day, and you can, in that time frame, get the car almost from 10 to 80%, which is the most efficient range for electronic vehicles to recharge. So, honestly, the i4 is a pretty great proposition, and this saves you about $600 over a traditional wall-mounted box from Juicebox, ChargePoint, or even BMW. Press this one button and that'll take us out to the other side of the car here. I do want to show you guys the interior. This car does feature frameless windows, which looks really, really nice and gives this thing a really nice sporty looking design. Being a Grand Coupe, it sits a little bit lower than your traditional sedan, but it's not terrible, so you can get in and out relatively easily. This car is featuring the Sensitech options on the seat, the Harman Kardon audio, which is a must-have if you guys are looking. You get a much larger bass subwoofer underneath the driver and passenger seat, just to give this car a more fulfilled audio experience. Inside, you can also see this has iDrive 8.5. One of the biggest differences between the 2023 and 2024 models is the advent of 8.5 coming out right whenever the vehicle was launched. 8.5 made using things such as the climate control a lot easier. It also made the heated seats sticking up, the heated seats, since they got rid of the traditional button style in the for the climate control on the last generation, they added a very convenient button to activate your heated seats. Heated steering wheel is still thankfully on the wheel, and just kind of changed up a couple of different things, but 8.5 was a great advent. They also changed the little shifter from like the traditional knob that we've had since 2019 to a little flappy paddle, which makes it really easy to switch back and forth between one pedal driving mode and the regular drive mode, but more on that later. On the back seat, this car does feature your comfort access controls with the little 3 lines here, which will let you unlock and lock the car based on whenever you're touching the door handle. And instead of having like a traditional grab style pull handle, the car just has little smoothed panels that go along the side of the car to let you get in and out of it. As far as legroom goes, in the back seat of this car, it does sit down pretty low, so you have decent legroom. I'm 5'8", so I'm pretty short, but this seat is almost all the way back, and I still have probably about an inch or so of legroom. You can option this with rear heated seats for up to $350, and you have a nice little armrest back here, so you can sit back, be comfortable. No crazy features or anything like that, but overall backseat experience is pretty enjoyable. The one thing I like, honestly, I don't know, I would give the back seat like an 8 out of 10. Pretty decent. You can fold these rear seats down to make up for more legroom in the trunk, not legroom, more storage space in the trunk as well. They do fold all the way flat, so if that's a problem, as far as storage space goes, you can always lay them down to have a little bit of extra room for longer items. And that's also very convenient just up on the shoulder position of the car, so it makes it really easy just to kick those up and down. I'm going to show you guys a couple of cool tech features on this car inside, and then we're going to take this thing on a little drive. Inside of the i4 eDrive 35, this car is currently 99% charged and has been getting driven around our dealership lot, which is like the worst way that you want to drive one of these cars, because any car is going to have terrible fuel efficiency whenever it's just sitting around a lot on the car dealership. But right now, this car is featuring 198 miles of range, which is kind of like our worst case scenario as far as your just distance goes. Typically, like I was saying, you can expect to have about 240 to 250 miles of range, and that can be extended if you precondition your batteries and charge appropriately. So they make it pretty easy to live with one of these. Plus, this car is eligible for a $7,500 tax incentive on a lease, so you don't claim it yourself. It gets claimed by the company that's leasing you the vehicle, which in this case would be BMW, and they pass that benefit along to the customers. So you can actually lease one of these right now for $499 if you spec it in the requirements that are in BMW's ad. So $500 for a really nice, high quality, luxury German electric EV. I mean, that's kind of a pretty decent deal. Inside of the car, on our iDrive system, you have the personal assistant, which you can use once you log in with the BMW ID. You've got your FM radio stations. This is all new for iDrive 8.5. Previously, there were a lot of side-to-side menus, more along the lines of how iDrive 6 was back in like 2017. You press into this icon here, and then you have all of your different infotainment options. Some of these are going to be for your phone. Once you pair that up, you're going to see all of your phone apps loaded right in here. And then whenever you press on the vehicle, you can access all of the various features that BMW lets you have. Speaking of which, you do have your digital key, which you can use your phone as a key. The new and improved heads-up display, which was improved with the new software updates, so it's now in full color, and there's a lot more information that gets popped up on the screen there. So they make it a lot easier to kind of live with this car on a day-to-day. Speaking of living with it, the cup holders are in a really nice location right down here in the center console. You can close those up if you don't like the ugly view of it, or you can just put your phone, or you can also use the wireless phone charger and cover that up if you're not using it as well. In the center console, you have a ton of space down here with the USB-C outlet to charge your phone. And you have a couple of different drive modes here. So you've got Sport, which actually whenever you are accelerating in the different drive modes, you're going to hear a different sound from the interior speakers. So whenever you're playing this, it plays like a very technological based kind of cool sound. Whenever you're in comfort mode, it's more of like a nice hum. And then Eco Pro is also kind of even more of a subdued hum to make it just like a very smooth, kind of enjoyable driving experience. The steering wheel feels nice. I wish that it was kind of like how the Audi e-tron is, where you have paddle shifters to change the amount of one pedal braking and one pedal driving, but you know, it's okay. I do really like how our steering wheel sits, and if you opt for the M Sport model, you get a more comfy, beefier steering wheel that can really help you sorry about the microphone there, that can really help you lean into the corners. You do have automatic windshield wipers and automatic high beams that can kick up and down while they're cornering for you around a dark neighborhood or driving on the back countryside. So you're not going to be left stranded where you can't see anything. But let's take this thing on a little spin. I am going to show you guys just the display here with the top-down camera before we head out. So you can see going around the outside of the car. These are still the 1080p cameras. Our other EVs do offer the 4K cameras, but you can still activate the 3D view, which you can pull up on your app on your phone. Or you can just pull it up here to see where you're parked at if you forget where you park or anything like that. All right, so let's see how the i4 eDrive 35 drives. Like I was saying earlier, there are other trim models as well for the i4. So they have an i4 40, which has 335 horsepower instead of 305. Then they also have the i4 eDrive, the i4 40 xDrive, which is 396 horsepower and is the more affordable alternative to the i4 M50, which is the range-topping 536 horsepower monster, and it's just very, very fast and is basically like the closest you can get to an M version of an electric vehicle. So that's the sound with the comfort acceleration. The car handles really well going around the corners, very, very smooth drive. Like a lot of other EVs, the ambient noise inside of the cabin is really kind of nice because there's no engine creating any vibrations or any kind of annoyance while you're driving down the road. It's just very, very quiet. And what's nice about the i4 is this thing still handles like a sports sedan. It doesn't handle like an iPad with wheels. It handles like a proper, BMW. You do have the ability to activate self-driving whenever you are on interstates. This car can keep you inside of your lane and will accelerate or decelerate depending on who's in front of you. Let's see here. I really do like how the car sounds. It's like a little bit different than like having an actual engine behind you, but for an EV, it's probably one of my favorites as far as the experience goes to drive it, just because it feels like more engaging. Plus, with the batteries down at the bottom of the car, this goes for all EVs, it's very planted if you wanted to go quickly into a corner, but you can tell the sound is just a little bit more pronounced whenever you're driving in sport mode. You also can see your power band up in your heads-up display. Whenever you activate sport mode, it tells you kind of the percentage of acceleration and force that you're putting to the pedal. It just makes it very, very engaging, super fun. And for the first time with iDrive 8.5, you can finally customize your instrument cluster if you're not in sport mode. You can select a couple of different layouts, which you didn't used to get to do, which makes the car a lot more fun to drive, and just kind of, you can personalize it to your own taste. And this does get paired up with your My BMW account, so whenever you're driving a car from the dealership while you're in getting serviced, you can still have the same experience of your car as long as it's on iDrive 8 or iDrive 8.5 via the My BMW app. They make it really easy to log in just with a QR code. You just scan that and then it steps you right through on setting up your new car. The app has come a long way. You can also utilize a lot of the app functions to do things like precondition the vehicle to get the batteries up to temperature and check where local charging networks are. The last thing that I'm going to touch on, and then I'll probably let you guys go for today. Inside of here, we have our charging menu, which you can go through and change a couple of different charging settings. So if you're on an older home where you're worried about tripping a breaker, you can adjust an AC limit. The BMW wall box charger goes up to, I think, like 46 amps. Some of the other chargers can go up to 48. If you need to toggle that, you can, but by default, it is off. You can set a departure plan. So if you're planning on leaving for a road trip, you can kick off a one-off warming of the batteries, which maximizes your range, or you can set up to 3 different regular schedules. And you can also do this off of your app if that's more convenient for you. For long-term storage, you can change the charging target to sit at under 80%. So that helps you as far as long-term battery life. This car does feature an 8-year warranty on the battery, but this is, kind of a nice thing that BMW lets you adjust very easily to make sure that your battery isn't going to get depleted if you are leaving the car for longer than a week or so. yeah, and then you can have location-based charging settings for different things such as the AC limit. So if you're charging at some place that does have a weaker electrical grid, you can, which is kind of cool. And then it also can start to precondition the battery to let it fast charge more rapidly if you're coming up to a frequent fast charging station with Electrify America for your free charging or all of the other charging networks that this car has. But yeah, that's probably where I'm going to leave it for today. Let me know if you guys have any other questions. I will link down to the build video for some of the i4 models in the description below. If you guys have any questions, please comment them, and I'll see you guys next time. Deuces.